This is episode 328 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm one of your hosts, William. Am I Anthony Mackie this year? Hegwood? And today I'm joined by Marcel. William said I'm not good enough to start. Manzano.
Yeah.
It's
Hello?
not. That's only half true. Uh, Ryan, I've heard that one before. Staniszewski.
Many of times, from many eras, all times before.
And James, incorrect, Ritter.
Most because I am usually wrong with X-Wing choices, but also Ahsoka spoilers.
All right, well, before we get into our main topics, I have to talk about GSP Patreons. Becoming a Patreon makes you a part of the largest group of supporters of what GSP does. Patrons have access to Patreon-only channels, are in Discord, and shareable art from our past projects. Go to patreon.com/goldsquadron to become a patron today. Honestly, they really help us get to these major events like the Golden State Games Expo this weekend. There's the, St. Lawrence is in October as well. So a lot of big events still to come. And we appreciate all the help that the patrons can do to get us to these events. Speaking of events, though, over the weekend, there was a world qualifier in Madrid, and that's where we're going to start. Actually, you know what? That's not what I have queued up. Silly me! I got to talk about what Marcel alluded to. XTC Team USA just announced their players for this upcoming year. XTC is an international event based on your country of origin, I guess. So USA versus England versus Germany versus Philippines. There's a huge list of teams and countries in the event. We just, after weeks doing a combine, have narrowed it down to just 7 players. Myself, as the captain, continuing on from last year, we got Levi. I'm going to have to pronounce anybody's name correct. Shat?
Just say the first names.
I'm going to have to. Levi's got to tell me how to pronounce. Not enough vowels. But Levi is flying our Rebels. We got Steve returning as our Imperial player. Steven coming in for our Republic. Doug Howe, again, manning the First Order. Joel doing our Resistance. But not to forget Marcel Manzano and Christopher Patrick. Crispy coming in as our substitutes. A deep bench. If we are having those caliber of player as just even our substitutes. Then, of course, Kenneth Lyon, our pairings master, and coach coming in again for his, I think, 3rd year as well as our coach. Been very great to the team, valuable asset. So, very exciting stuff. That heads off in October, and we should have lists for all of the 30 teams within the next week or two. So it would be very exciting to look over and review that monumental tournament. Always a great time to represent the United States here. But yeah, great stuff there. Marcel, you're not less of a player for being a substitute. In fact, I would say you're more of a player. I need a better player as a substitute to jump in on any faction. So big shout out to you and Patrick for jumping in, when we need you the most.
So, big question: why do you snub Paul Hebert?
I mean,
Coach,
I wouldn't say snub. There was there was 30 amazing participants in the combine, and I had to base it on availability as one of the
he
things.
snubbed himself. He himself in in our internal chat said he's not sure he would be available for all the games during the week.
Yeah.
So
we're
anyway,
playing,
I was just he himself said he's not sure on his own availability. I was just
no, I get
just giving you ish.
I'm sure. That's okay. We've made it past the hump. We have the team decided. We're still working on one list, and then we'll be ready to go in October. So I think it's really exciting stuff. Always an honor to participate in the XTC. Should have a bunch of new teams as well this year. So some up and coming countries coming to compete. Honestly, like some, you never know. I think what was it 2 years ago? Like Singapore did really well. Last year, a bunch of countries came out of the woodworks to show their strength. So should be a great time for international X-wing. Speaking of though,
Yeah, the only thing that we know is that Canada's gonna fall.
yeah,
Their big head
will
their
it?
big head is gonna get shrunk. I don't know.
The trash talk begins. They're supposed to be our North American allies, but if you won last year's tournament, yeah, the trash talk begins now.
Yeah.
But all right, it almost looks like there's an asterisk after Steve's name.
After
Steve
who?
Cthulhu. Steve Cthulhu, asterisk. No, it's just
Oh, Steve Cuchulo asterisk.
no, it's just like a random
Apostrophe.
star in the wrong place. Anyways, let's get this out of here and let's talk about Madrid. This is in a world qualifier from Spain. Had 53 players entered in at the beginning of the event. And looks like the overall winner, Marcel will pronounce for us.
Is there a link? Oh, there is a link.
There is a link. You'll get there.
Everything's all nicely in the show notes.
All right, so we're going to the long shanks, right?
Yes.
Start there, yeah.
All right, I understand that there are cookies involved. Is it Daniel? You don't know how to spell Daniel Jobs, or is there somebody else on top?
Daniel
It
Jones.
doesn't look like Daniel at all to me. Let's say that.
That is not what it looks like to me.
What?
I think
Which
I
one?
would have. I think I would have been able to pronounce that.
Wait, I'm on Longshanks. Campeonato.
Madrid?
I'm in the Brazil one. Never mind.
Madrid.
Yeah, let me go to
Spoiler alert.
the other one.
Whoa.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, Daniel.
Yeah, I can
Okay,
tell who's listening.
Oh, it's Juanjo Gracia Roche.
That's exactly
you.
what we would have said too.
That's-
Yeah,
it's-
totally knew that.
Exactly.
Just testing you.
Now that is not a common Spanish name in like the West world Spanish, like between Mexico to like Argentina, Chile, Peru, like that's
That's old
that's-
Spanish.
How did you pronounce it again? The
Juanjo.
first name?
Juanjo
Oh.
Gracia. Gracia is like gracias, but without the S. Gracia
Yeah.
Roche.
Okay.
So
I was actually a guest on planning phase last night. That we went through this, and I tried to pronounce Juanjo, but I guess it's probably just a little off. So I want to know the right way. Juanjo. Okay.
Juanjo.
Yep. Ended up going 4-1 in Swiss and undefeated in the top cut, facing off against Els Coretta. Looking at their list here, it was the Resistance. We have Elo, pretty self-explanatory there. Hard to get a Resistance list without Elo. though this one has an interesting talent slot. Has Predator, but also Swarm Tactics. So more on that in a second here. We got Tim and Wexley, that's Boosty Boy, with Heroic, Ferrosphere Paint, and R4D6. That's the Squad Predator, is what I call it. Looking for anybody to have a bullseye, and you get an offensive reroll. Jessica Pava with M9G8 and Baffle. So no droid charges on that Jessica there. Then Lulo Lampar with Marksmanship, Ferrospheric Paint, and the Shield upgrade. Then finally Zori Bliss with Wartime Loadout, Plasma Torpedoes, and Mag Pulse Warheads. No turret, 2 different kinds of munitions. So I have to assume then that the Swarm Tactics is for Jessica Pava, brings her up from a 3 to a 5 with the majority of the rest of this list. So you actually get 5 shots at 5 and then Temin at 4. Ryan, you've been flying a lot of 5T70. This, I guess, would be a 5T70 list. Basically, you call it anything with... You have a majority, more T70 than not, and 5 ships. You're a 5-ship T70. But what is your take for this list? A Y-Wing, a Zori, getting put into there.
So the base pilots, yeah, it's basically Zori instead of Kaz. Zori actually has had decent success overall as a piece in Resistance in these 5-ship lists. I'm not as much of a fan of it personally, but I will admit I haven't tried it in this yet. I just don't like that it doesn't have the speed I'm looking for, and essentially has another sort of tether effect, like someone else should be around Zori to fully affect her double mod capabilities that she has. This Zori is interesting in the fact that didn't just only do plasma torpedo, but also took mag pulse. So a little bit of a double tech effect, essentially, where you have options as to which one best fits your situation you're going into. But not having R4 Astromech seems way off the normal Zori, right? Like I can live without dorsal, but R4 is a whole nother story.
Oh yeah. For those who don't know, Zori can take a second action. And traditionally, you take your target lock, and then someone moves up and gives you a focus action when they focus. So which stresses you though, which is why you're saying the Astromech is so important normally.
Yeah, because whether you want to have Zori have the ability, especially when you have a couple other ships that are also I5, have the ability to do her ability before she moves or after she moves, and be able to have R4 give you better dial options in any situation. So maybe a loadout change of difference that I would personally do, but worked well here. The Lulo's the same Lulo I run. The Temin's the same Temin I've ran, both running Ferrosphere. But there's the only 2 Ferrospheres in the entire list, which is the difference. Instead of mass Ferrosphere plus Kaz with FTC. Jess with M9G8, completely reasonable option. That was the first version of Jess I looked at was M9, so I could lock someone else and she doesn't need her lock at all. Elo with Swarm Tactics, basically there seems to be sort of 2 duo teams happening here essentially, or all 3 ships are together, being Jess, Elo, and Zori in a block of 3, or Elo's just the one going next to Jess to bump Jess up to I5 with Swarm Tactics, and then someone else is at least hanging around Zori. Not really a tight formation necessarily, but at least giving her that double actions for full mods on her munitions. Predator was the other thing on LO2. I think it's okay. I'm just not big on tethering more things together, and I already am not as much of a fan of Zori generally plodding along, doing some damage and a trade piece. So she seems to be trading well enough to be as effective as she has been in these 5-ship resistance. So it's almost like a mix between some of the traditional quote 5T70s we've seen and what I took to Nova, where there was smatterings of the Ferrosphere, but it wasn't all Ferrosphere, and still bringing opting for more I5 stuff for Zori instead of, say, Kaz, who has a little more survivability, speed, and can carry Notorious and Illicit.
That's true. I mean, the I-5 is such a powerful place to be that getting more I-5s in the list makes a lot of sense to me. You quickly run out of I-5 X-Wings after, well, in this one, Elo with Swarm and Jessica Pava.
Yeah, it's just Elo and Lulo are your two I5s normally, and then it's if you want to go to Zori, you can take Zori instead of Kaz, which I think is probably the right swap. I don't think you're dropping Snap, and I don't think you're dropping Jess. They're both extremely effective. And I think Kaz and Zori can kind of fight for the last spot depending on how you want to play. Just know that I still err on the side of as many Pharaoh's Fierce as I could bring, and just know that my Zori doesn't have it, which is okay. And I know at that point that most of my opponents will try and lock Zori because they won't be punished for it. So I can sort of funnel them or just kind of play Zori as a more obvious bait for certain ships like Vader or Luke as examples.
Yeah, with that wartime getting 5 shields and 4 hull, can survive a beating from a lot of like proton torps or whatever your big opener is, right? Unless it's a plasma, then plasma's gonna love all those little shield tokens.
Yeah, I can understand not taking plasma on Elo since you already have plasma on Zori, or maybe more plasma, more better too. Maybe that's a version. But I think I don't know. Not as big a fan of Storm Tactics, but hey, worked here, great for them. There's always variations to this list. There's a lot. I think the 5T70s right now is sort of the most known archetype that has the vast amount of variations that people can just tinker with and use certain or different pilots and try different loadouts because there's a reasonable enough loadouts and a reasonable amount of like astromechs or talent or techs that can fit in these loadouts given to the T70.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm surprised we're still calling this the 5T70 list versus
It just rolls
the
off the
5
tongue
ship.
better, but
Yeah, but it's a 5 resistance list because in most situations you almost never have 5T70s. You usually only have 3, and the ones that perform the best usually only have 3 T70s, and you'll have either an A-wing, Y-wing, a fireball.
Kaz, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a 5 ship resistance.
3x plus 2.
Yeah, so it's 3x plus 2, or even sometimes 4x plus 1. But definitely,
I just don't want to like go and say 5 ship resistance when you could have like a 5 ship resistance that's like Poe and a 4-pointer and 3 3-pointers, or Ray and 2 4-pointers, a 3-pointer, 2. Like there's a lot of variations of 5 ships that exist, but maybe what James said, like 3x plus 2,
or 5 4s.
right.
Yeah, 5 4s. Pretty
that's
much
the whole thing. Because sometimes you get Nian Nem, and that's part of your like 4x plus 1 is
yeah, the Nian Jarrett combo instead.
Yeah, Nian, and then you get a 3-pointer in there like Jarek or something.
Yeah. All right, 3x plus 2 then.
Yeah, I mean it's really just to distinguish it from the Falcon list, a non-Falcon 5 ship.
Well, just a non-ace. Like everything is within the
Sure.
realm of 3 to 5 points in the entire list.
No.
And most of the time, it's Nien plus a 3-pointer, which is probably Jarek, but could be an RZ2 or something else, a Y-wing.
We got to get away from resistance, or else I'm gonna freak out. Let's move on to the runner-up, Els Kuroda, because I'm sure that's how that's pronounced. Flying a rebel list here. We have Han, standard loadout here for today's meta. Chopper, Perceptive, Bistan, Engine, Title. We got Boy, Luke. This is Wedge with Elusive and Marksmanship. We have Kia with Lone Wolf Concussion, and Sabine with Beskar Reinforced Plating. A list we've seen many variations of But this 5 ship seems to have remained with the Wedge and Sabine combination. They're supporting the heavy hitters out doing objectives, of which Han and like unless it's area control, Han and Luke probably aren't doing any button pressing or picking up crates. They're trying to punch stuff.
They're on their savage mission.
Yeah, they're out there just trying to roll red dice. Let's go. Or leave the fancy stuff to the A-Wings, right? So yeah, I mean, not a lot to say about it. I mean, tried and true.
We've said it over and over the last 3 or 4 months. It's been good since Bartos won something with it like a long time ago, and it's good today. And
we still
next,
see
I think
though.
the next one's interesting.
It's not going to be good.
Well,
That's it. That was
we
the
still
last- the
see
last one.
at least
Eventually, it will not be good.
we still see variations. People trying new upgrades, like elusive in this one, mixing up Kyo's upgrades, Juke, Procket. People really going back and forth on what that exact loadout should be, which I think is still healthy. Like a list isn't set, isn't like this is the list you should bring. There is some personality still brought to it, so that's great to see. Let's do
Yeah,
the top.
I actually really like the elusive on Wedge.
Really?
A lot of people opt for crack shot.
Sure.
Predator as well. I think I weirdly like Predator more than crack because a lot of what Wedge can actually bullseye is stuff that's already agility 1, maybe agility 2, being the arcs or some lower initiative T70s.
That makes sense.
If anything, what he needs, because Luke is clearly the first target that people try and take off the board when they're facing against this. After that, most of the time, people will either shift towards do they have enough firepower and is Han in position to go after him? If the answer is no, it's either Sabine or Wedge, depending on what Sabine's objective situation is. And then Wedge, because Kyo is generally way better defensively than Wedge, since she's mostly taking the Juke option or has Lone Wolf like this. So giving Wedge that little bit of defensive boost to make him a little bit more difficult of a target to bring down, I think is a good choice.
No, I mean you just gotta survive that initial engagement, right? And you could fire forward, boost on onto there. So sometimes
Yeah, it also
that
lets-
is the difference.
It also lets Wedge be more aggressive on the turnaround maneuvers. If he doesn't end up using the vectored thrusters, you can still use do a 5K and not be too terribly upset about it.
True. Interesting that this Han brought tiny rocks. I guess it's easier to fly through them with your large base.
Yes, especially with Chopper, I would think
it-
if you go tiny, just tiny debris cloud.
Yeah, he's not doing a
Well, we were doing
shot, so
we were doing the math on it, that the difference between, well, not math, but the difference between choppering through a debris and just rolling through an asteroid is stress. Because either way, you roll for damage.
Yeah, but you're guaranteed. Well, so you guarantee 1 damage with Chopper if you guarantee
I see what you're
if
saying,
you're
yeah.
doing it. But so there are points likely late in games where Han's close to being low on health, and you at least with Chopper have the choice to use it or not, whereas with the asteroid you don't. You will take the damage 100%.
Yeah, but
I see what
with
you're
the
saying.
rocks, you end up without stress after that. So in the early and middle game, you're going to
I mean, ideally, you don't run over
suffer the
anything.
damage plus.
Try not to run over anything. I guess I see what
But
you're
so,
saying. That
like,
you could just
but-
expose a card versus maybe just taking the damage always every time.
But also, I think it is viable to consider debris, even larger ones, because in the matchup against Arc 170s, you with small obstacles are now giving him more space to play with because Arc 170s are likely also taking small obstacles. So it's easier to let those ships move around the board without having larger obstacles to obstruct them or mess with them. So that's the other side effect too, is that one of the lists that is a higher meta contender that has okay history against Han, maybe a little bit overblown because the actual data shows Padme's does not do as good against Han, but that's because the 3 arc list Padme is actually much more difficult to functionally fly. So there's the other side part. It's like if you take the debris, you have more obstacle space to mess with your opponents, particularly the triple arcs.
That's a good point. Like I said, I thought it was interesting that they're bringing just the tiny little rocks here. All right, well let's hit up the other top 4 list as well. We have from Andoni a Imperial list. This one starts off with a Decimator, Rear Admiral Chernow with Trick Shot, Death Troopers. Those are the crew that prevent you from removing stress at range 1 of Rear Admiral. Minister Tua, that's the free reinforce at the start of combat. Agile Gunner, Thermal Detonators, and Electronic Baffle. Interesting, no force crew there, but a lot of variety in your options. A second Decimator, Morna Key. She can hold her reinforce. This one has Trick Shot, Darth Vader crew. There he is. Agile Gunner, Concussion Bombs, Delayed Fuses, and she has the Dauntless title. Then we have a pair of 3-point bombers. This is a customizable Tomax Bren with Feedback Ping, Magpulse Missiles, Skilled Bombardier, Bomblet Generator, and Delayed Fuses. Feedback Ping can get you a lock if somebody moves into range 1 of a device, like all those thermals or concussions or bomblets that are fused out there. Then, as well, the 3-point customizable Rhymer with Feedback Ping, Homing Torpedo, Thermal Detonators, and Delayed Fuses. So just littering the battlefield with fused bombs, and the bombers can pick up these target locks so they can fire their munitions even while K-turning, coming back around for the second pass. Then just bring in the beef out there with Double Decimator. Marcel, Double Decimator? Great. Now there's 2 of them.
Yeah, I mean it's it's good. I mean, you got 2 bombers. Which bombers did he win? He went with Tomax and Rhymer.
Tomax and Rhymer.
2.
So 5544 is the initiative.
Yeah, and did you even break down really like Tomax, right? I mean, we're saying 2 bombers, but we're also
you went through all the not normal upgrades we are seeing on these ships.
This
is
not
that
normal.
was like
no worries. Yeah, Magpulse Missile and Feedback Ping. In addition to those, the Skilled Bombardier as well. 2 bank
homing
bomblets.
torpedo, thermal dead. So he's guaranteeing 1 damage with Rhymer.
Mm-hmm.
Thermal detonators. I mean, this is just weird.
Just weird.
I mean, I understand Rear Admiral and Morna. Maybe not that exact loadout. I mean, I don't. Death Troopers, I would probably think Morna Key is a better Death Trooper carrier than Rear Admiral.
She can't take it because she doesn't have 3 crew.
Well, she doesn't need 3 crew.
Well, you need
Why
at
would
least...
she need? You need 2, so you just give her 2, and you put in a gunner with force. But anyway, I like Morna Key as
Maybe. That's
not
a good idea.
not Agile Gunner, but anyway, I like it better with that just because Morna Key is usually the one generating the bumps and generating people to get stressed out more often than.
I prefer Vader being on Shiranu and Seventh Sister being on Morna Key.
But anyway, so that's weird, but then you would expect Tomax Rhymer to be the saturation solvable barrage variety, or even having Tomax be the starter pack. Tomax and the barrage rocket Rhymer. It's just I don't know it worked.
Well, as a note,
But it's
those homing torpedoes are normally a range 1 to 2 weapon. With Rhymer, they're range 0 to 3. So being able to snipe out that homing torpedo at long range could be useful.
Yeah. I mean, the homing torpedo does what?
A crit
It's,
or a 4 dice attack.
No, isn't that range 2 and 3, not 1 and
It's
2?
1 and 2.
It's 1 to 2, but Rhymer's ability goes up
Yeah,
one or
it
down
makes it
1.
0 to 3.
Hey, that
So
Rhymer
homing
locking
missiles
you,
are 2 to
and then
3.
block. Yeah. Homing missile is the longer range one. But Rhymer with those two, just like cluster missiles, right, where you can get all range bands then with the munition all of a sudden, really ups their potency. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, if someone can't take 1 damage, then like, cool, here's a proton torpedo then for 5 points.
yeah, discount 4 dice.
Like I
attack.
said, I mean, obviously it worked well enough to get third place. I don't think this is something that we're gonna see replicated a bunch of times. It's just
Probably
I
not.
think it's one of those.
I imagine this takes a lot of practice and flying a certain way.
Yeah, I was
It
going to
takes a
say,
lot of
I
practice
think it
flying a
might.
certain way, and
I think it might be flying a certain way because the feedback pings, the delayed fuses. I wonder if there was any like very specific turn 1 or turn 2 maneuver play to get bombs in certain spots, whether by the decimators or odd enough 5Ks early on just to throw bombs at someone and like put a pseudo bomb wall around somewhere. Because if you look at the scores of like in the middle tab, the versus tab for this player, they didn't have unless it was in the semifinal game against the eventual winner, they didn't have a single game go to 20 points. Which we see that sometimes with double deci play, and we get concerned about slower play or how things went out. I don't like what this doesn't show is how many rounds they got in the games, right? But that's what we don't know. But we do see every single game, none of them got to 20 points. The closest was a 17-7 victory for themselves.
He had an 18-0 victory.
That was
Oh,
a
no, that
bye.
was a bye. That was a bye.
Did pretty good against the bye.
That's the first round bye. That's the first round bye. And Cuts and Stay only had 9 points, which, by the way, I noticed their cut bar was get 12 points in the Swiss out of their 5 rounds.
Interesting.
I did.
So,
yeah, it's interesting that of their games, is that 4 of them they won by 1 point?
Yeah, it started the day off strong. 11 to 10, 8 to 9, or 8 to 7, and 11 to 10. So nerve-wracking games.
Yeah.
I mean,
imagine
you have
going
2
into-
decimators, and Assault was 11 to 10. I mean, unless that Republic list was the triple arcs. And then
it was Republic, so
Yeah, I'm sure they're just canceling each other's objective points out all game.
essentially, yeah.
yeah, because the large bases. That is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen double decimate. I ran it at a Gen Con one time. Like, years ago. 2 years ago. So, like, man, it's a lot to deal with.
He was running, wow, this is interesting. That Republic list was CLT OB, CLT Mace, back in the straps. He's back. CLT Mace, with Siege Oddball, customizable Wolf, and customizable Click.
Wow.
Oh, so only 2 arcs.
Only 2 arcs.
Okay.
That's the better way to play, in my opinion.
Wow. Really throwing shade at
Wow,
Jag here.
digging on Jag.
Okay.
Not a true Republic bro.
Wow. All right.
No, because I want to bring.
He's more than that to me. All right.
What, a lock boy? A lock monkey?
Jag does probably the most damage out of any 3 of
I know.
arcs.
That's the funny part. Yeah, but he needs the other 2 to really Maximize.
Sure, they're all friends.
They're the best of
Yeah.
friends. All right, well, let's round out the last of the top 4 here with Gorka Ben flying another Resistance list. Actually, we'll go to the Pink Matter in a second. Or not Pink Matter. Yikes. Pattern Analyzer. So that's my old brand coming back again. In the 4th place overall, the Resistance was Ray with Heightened Perception, Heroic, Rose Tico, Novice Technician, Finn, and Ray's Millennium Falcon. Pretty standard Ray there. This is a 7-point Poverdrive as well. Heroic R4, Paint, Proton Torpedoes, Overdrive Thrusters, and the Black One title. There's unfortunately not a lot of wiggle room with Poe Dameron these days, so pretty standard loadout as well for that. But the other 2 pieces, though, when you go 7-7, you need 3-3. That's Jaeger with Marksmanship, Heroic, R4, Advanced Slam, Targeting Computer, and the Kaz's Fireball title. So notably no munition there, opting for the R4 and Advanced Slam instead. It is a very good combination. Then Roby Tice, the Initiative 4. I don't even remember. Pop quiz, Ryan. What's Roby's ability?
Something to the effect of after you execute a maneuver, because it's like a bump-based thing, and then when you bump into them,
90. Is that what it is?
you can rotate 90 degrees and take a deplete.
Nope.
What is it?
Even worse. It's the after you defend at range 1. If the attacker modified its dice, they gain a deplete.
Oh, okay.
So it is objectively not a great ability.
That's Sarah Linda I was thinking of.
Yeah, but it is a Initiative 4 3-point RT2.
Initiative 4.
That is its ability. It
Yep.
says I'm an Initiative 4 3-point RT2.
Yeah. The linked actions. I have linked boost and linked rotate. That's my ability. Has elusive as well. Great to just annoy your opponents by being just unkillable at 3 points. So interesting. Another 7-7-3-3 squad here. Getting to the top of the rounds. I have just completely written off Poverdrive seasons ago. But I mean, in skilled hands, and with like Ray drawing fire, allowing Poe to get onto the flank better, I could see it. A lot of potential here. What do you guys think about Poverdrive?
Poverdrive is one of those things that, like, if this guy can fly Poverdrive well, then there's not a lot of chance that I have to come back from this game, because he is just gonna there's so many different options, and so many different tools that Poverdrive has that you just don't.
So this is
in the skilled hands, I think Poverdrive may be one of the trickiest and strongest ships. But you make one mistake, and you're all done, son.
Well, you got some in health. You need more than one
but
mistake.
Until then, pretty great.
Unless your one mistake is get in front of like 4 ships. But I mean, definitely this list was, Poe Ray, the Poe ratio. But
so let's hit this pink matter over here.
What?
Go ahead, Marcel.
I unmuted my DBS or whatever you call it, my Video Ninja instead. I'm sitting here talking. Anyway, so what I was saying was that this is definitely the Poe ratio, and Jarek and Robbie are just like riding along. They're there to see the show. They're not participating in the show, not actively. And I mean, this has got to be a list that I don't know. Like, I don't see how this is equal to or even remotely. I don't see how this is not better by going 7-7-4-2, like throwing a BB-8 on there, and maybe like Eloetzi, and having Elo and BB-8, because Elo will perform better than both Jarek and Robbie, and then BB-8 as a box carrier, as a hang around an objective, or as go push a button. He's just gonna be, he's gonna be okay. He's probably gonna survive as long as Jarek will be. So I love the Poe Ray combination.
So as a note, Ander Lopez, who came in 5th, did run exactly that. Your Poe Ray, or Poe Drive Ray, BB-8, and Elo.
Yeah, there you go. Like, I think that's a much more consistent list that you're gonna get. It's gonna do the same thing but better.
Interesting.
But it didn't. But it should.
Didn't.
But it will more often.
It should. It should. Well, I mean, to me, it's gotta be this dude knows how to slam. With Jaeger out there advanced slamming, then the black one escape button. I mean, to me, if you are trying to fly Poverdrive and Ray, I mean, you essentially you lose when both of them are destroyed. If you can just keep them both on the board, it's basically guaranteed win. So that's kind of what it comes down to. You're making your own win conditions these days with that list. But yeah, exciting stuff there. I guess we could look at the rest of the cut here real fast. We had an Imperial Sat Bomber, but instead of
go through the actual. You're going through the full cut or just what?
No, I'm just gonna look at the list here real
weird.
fast. The other Imperial list takes the standard 3 Sat and Darth Vader, but drops a 4-pointer for double black squadrons. Interesting. Gets into a 6-ship build. Someone called Soontir Fell, not flying Imperials. Boo. Has a 2 Y-Wings, Chopper, Boy, Luke, and Keo list.
That's an innovation right here.
Wow. Okay, so no Han gets into the code with no Han. Proving you don't need him. You do need Luke, though.
You need Luke. Yeah, you still need Luke.
And then a 5T70 list. But one of them is Zori, and we see the Barrage Rocket Benza out there as well. So, then there's a 9th player, another Imperial list. This one, a SSP Vader. Then we have Sat Salvo, Feedback Ping, Major Rhymer. Interesting. So no Sat Salvo to get better bombs. Normally you're stuck with a 4-point bomb, and it's not exciting. This one goes up to thermal detonators. Then has that classic Vizier in there. It was in my draft league, the Ascendancy team. We've just coined this, as I'm the Imperial player, coined this meta bombers. Like, it just has such a high floor. Like, and you just really don't have to do anything to make this work.
You just
Here's the thought. Hold on.
What's
Just
up?
real quick thought. So there's a couple lists here that already had the feedback ping rhymer.
Yeah.
And in both situations, I'm trying to think, like, if you're going feedback ping, wouldn't teaming them up with Deathfire
The
as a
launcher.
Deathfire make sense? Yeah, because that way you could throw like feedback ping on there, and you can get those bombs in where people are getting into range 1, and make that area just kind of like double down on that area denial, and just the impact of because then you multiply the effect of not the effect, but you multiply the effect and the impact of Deathfire. So the 3 points goes a little bit longer that way.
That's it.
So
I
many,
like that thought process.
How many feedback pings does it take to make that Deathfire?
I mean, you only
Not that Deathfire's not good, but like how many
spoiler
feedback
alert, James, you only get 2 options. Reimer and Jonas, or not Jonas. Reimer. I guess you could go customizable Jonas to do it, but that's a bad decision. So you really only have Tomax and Reimer to do feedback ping off of. But that only costs you 9 points. Though.
That's 9 points. So you get a bomber that's actually doing bombing. You're not locked down. You're not connected at the hip to Jonas because where those bombs can end up after moving.
So,
and then
what do you fit with the rest of the list then? 11 points.
What do I fit with the rest of the list?
Customizable Vader and Countdown.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wait, is that customizable Vader 15?
You don't
no,
like
customizable Vader will get you. No, you get. You don't do. Is there any good 5-pointers?
No. Well, yes, but no.
Soontir.
I mean,
Soontir,
Grand,
Second
right?
Sister, and
You
Grand.
get Soontir.
You're looking at.
Oh, Grand, yeah.
Hey, look at this guy. I got a.
So yes and no. Like.
I mean, honestly, Ubel might be pretty nasty in that
Ubel,
list.
Maybe. If you're throwing
people
bombs
defending
at people,
and taking damage cards when they defend. Yeah, it turns out those bombers are going to be taking some damage cards.
Interesting. Yeah, possible.
Okay.
If you want to go like Boy Vader, Ubel.
Yeah, Boy Vader Ubel. There you go.
All right.
So, all right.
But Boy Vader's enter does not
Ryan has
sound
been
bad.
quiet long enough.
Well, no, just re-clarifying. Someone had
Yeah.
talked about Reimer swapping out some of his options to get a quote better bomb. What bomb did they get?
Thermal.
Thermal. So went from the
I'm gonna
5
throw
point
out
ion
that-
to like 5 point bomb.
I think people are undervaluing ion bombs right now.
I would agree. I played like one game with them, and they changed
I think
the
they've-
game.
I think
They
they've always been
are-
undervalued.
So game changing. And what's awesome is you can have two of them and still bring a really powerful Tomax with the new SL Plasma Torb True Grit Tomax.
True.
That's what I've been trying. That's what I've been trying out in Empire a little bit, which is spoiler. Like I haven't played Empire and I have no clue how long, but I picked it up
Years.
recently, and it was pretty nice. And I tried a Barrage Rocket Rhymer with Ion Bomb and Sat Salvo, and then I tried Plasmex, aka the SL Bomber Pack Tomex. Both have Ion Bombs, which absolutely like can change games. And what's funny is when you have two of them, that means if one thing gets ioned, and there's the unfortunate situation where they're probably going to go and hit another ion bomb, they're just in jail for the rest of the game.
Yeah, dial jail. You get to you get to have a little fun as a treat. All right, but let's.
What's even more hilarious is when you take an electronic baffle rack and you let your rack sit in the ion bomb and then just baffle off one of the 3 ions before the next turn.
We did see that baffle before on the rack. Well, let's keep it moving here because we do got another tournament to go through. Just some stats about the Madrid here. The faction breakdown, Rebels, Empire, and Resistance taking the majority of it. Only 15% taking the Republic, and only 3.77. 2 First Order lists were brought to the event. That's surprising to me because I thought First Order was one of the better factions, but maybe not in Spain it doesn't. This is interesting to me. The top cut, if you didn't know us by our breakdown, we only talked about Rebel, Resistance, and Empire. No other factions made the cut there. Well, I mean, the 2 First Order players had, a smaller chance to do so. But let's see, who's got the best win rate? Resistance, of course. I mean, it won the overall event and had multiple in the top cut there. Who did the worst? Those 2 First Order players only managed a 50% win rate. So I don't know what they.
Better than the Scum players.
How did Scum do? We do our rare on Scum watch.
38% win rate.
Oof.
7 wins, 10 losses. Bad.
Yikes. I'm sure someone will figure out the scum someday. Someday they'll just blow it up, blow the whole faction wide open. Until then.
Until
look,
then.
Bring you can bring 5 fangs. It's not too different than the quote 5 T70s.
what was the? Yeah, I'm rooting for the Drea and 4 skulls. Come on, somebody can do it. I believe in you.
Nah, just
Nah.
do Joy, Cad, Torfun, and 2 Mandalorian Royal Guards, and just
All
ignore their
named?
abilities.
All pipped?
Yeah.
Five pipped? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Might be on something there. Speaking of 5 ships, it was the supreme majority here with 60% for the squad size. We did see a lot of 4 ships, but they only made up 24%. Most flown chassis, I could believe this is just a T70. Comparing, looking at all the other stats we just read over.
Well, that's shown by faction with Rebel Alliance.
by
So
faction.
That checks
yeah,
out.
they don't have an overall chassis distribution between the entire.
Wow, 100% of Scum List brought a
Fang.
Fang.
You know what? That checks out. And
I
most
bet
of them,
100% of Resistance was brought a T70.
I was gonna.
Yep.
Hey, I was
that was
right.
the first thing I looked at. 100% brought T70.
100% of FO. 100% of FO brought
I'm-
Typhos.
I'm interested in who's flying rebels without an X-wing.
That is interesting.
Bold choices here. I bet it's triple large base is what was doing it.
Well, you could also technically swap Luke out in the winners list with Fen Rao Fang, and you wouldn't have an X-wing.
That's true.
There was a VCX Tie Gauntlet B-wing.
Was it Gina?
This is what I was saying. The large bases.
There is also a Tie A-wing Falcon double arcs list. So, how about instead of X-wings, you have arcs?
Yep. But yeah, interesting stuff here. Gotta give a big shout out to Pattern Analyzer analyzing all of these events. I love to see this information. I forgot that they just show these squads here too. I didn't know if they were in exact order, but it looks like they might be. Anyways, awesome to see. Congratulations to those players. They will be getting their world invites and even a flight over to the old US of A. So it'll be awesome to see them at the next Worlds. But we're going to keep moving on to the Brazilian tournament held over the weekend. Marcel, you said you have some insider information about the event.
Yeah, so the event it's dubbed the Brazilian National Championships. However, I'm gonna keep talking while I go and make sure the cat stops biting my power cable. So
Okay.
I'll keep talking though.
Good to know.
It's the Brazilian National Championship, but it is not an official event. Unfortunately, Brazil is not supported by their local distributor, and so it was a 100% community-run event by their community leaders over there. Put together the event, got all the prize support, and they were able to hand out 3 world invites. But they did so by basically partnering with stores in Europe and basically just working it out to where the stores in Europe weren't going to be able to fill their 16 people slots. So because they had 60 something people involved, they're like, well, we're gonna run your event in our vicinity or something like that. I don't know the exact logistics of it, but end of the day, their community was able to scrounge up enough support, and they were able to scrounge up enough players and enough kits to actually support 3 different world invitations. So good on them. Again, if you try, and kind of goes back to a little bit to what like Chris Allen is working on. Chris Allen's not working really on getting invites out there, but at least some of the prize support, because the prize support is also important. So just just wanted to give that shout out, and also that context of we do have a lot of countries who love X-wing and are just for one reason or another, unfortunately, not able to get the product, get the kits. So anything that we can do to just kind of help them out. And big shout out to the stores in Europe that were able to partner with Brazil to make sure that they they were able to put this together.
I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate, but fortunate at the same time. Glad to hear that everything ended up working out for them, and they got almost 60 players for the event as well. So, really awesome to see that the community is alive and well down in South America. But let's take a look at the.
We got 61 players.
I mean, there's a couple drops, but I guess, they still played though. So, yeah,
They played, yeah.
61. Nicely done. All right, let's start at the top though. Big congratulations to Daniel Jobs, flying the first order into the victory here. I'll double check. Yeah, I went undefeated in the top cut overall. Trying to show the Spaniards how to do it with the first order. Has quick draw with Fanatical, Proud Tradition, Pattern Analyzer, Special Forces Gunner, and FCS. Has Whisper Kylo, Brilliant Evasion, Predator, Magpulse, Pattern, and the Enhanced Jamming Suite. Captain Phasma with Proud, Fire Control, the Special Forces Gunner, and Electronic Baffle. Then Scorch with Fanatical and Crackshot. And DT with Marksmanship and Advanced Optics. Strange that they don't have the same loadout there. So ends up with 2 SFs, 2 of the low initiative TIE Fighters. So no Malorus, no Midnight. But it has, of course, the backbone of the First Order, Kylo Ren, out there in the Whisper. This is very interesting to me, because I would have said, like, you need Malorus. Like, you might as well be flying a 17-point First Order list, because you need Malorus so bad. But they proved that you do not, and really showing off their SF skills here with that quick draw. I mean, we talk up Proud and Pattern all the time. Do a red maneuver, you get your target lock and your focus at the same time. Beautiful for those double shots. Just going full offensive here with Fanatical and the fire control systems. This is impressive to me, to say the least. Even going the Captain Phasma instead of LeHughes, which I thought we all had come to the consensus, you take the I-5 when you can. But Phasma's, that ability, when they are about to receive a hit or crit from an attack, they must give it to a ship at range 1 instead. So paired with quick draw has a difficult decision for any attacker. If you attack either one of them, quick draw is going to fire back at you. Or if you hit either one of them, quick draw gets an attack onto you. So really could create some bad decision making for the opponent. And of course, if your opponent's making more decisions, more likely they're making a bad one. What's your guys' thoughts on this FO list?
I like the. Oh, go ahead, you guys.
Yeah. I love the the Phasma with Fanatical on those TIE FOs. I wish both of them had it, but Scorch having Fanatical, pretty good. You can share that 1 damage to turn on Fanatical is a great ability.
Yeah, Phasma
It's
ain't
really
off
interesting
their
to
shield.
see Kylo Ren and the Whisper not going for instinctive aim missile. So if he actually wanted to use that missile, he needs to actually take a lock, which is a very rare action to take on a Whisper. That's for sure. But yeah, really interesting to see no Malrus. Just I brought all my ships have real guns. Sure, Malrus can get it through missile, but Magpulse only does neutering, not damage, really. Conditional help on the crits for salvage. Can do okay with cluster missiles, but basically, like, only Kylo Ren has a conditional 3 dice attack by just making sure he gets bullseye, which he can do pretty well. But every other ship, just like, if you're in my arc, you're going to be hit by a 3 to 4 die attack.
Yeah, I wonder if he is flying these ships together, like in a block, with like Kylo at the back. That way, Kylo can take that lock. Because you gotta shoot through 4 TIE fighters to get to Kylo.
I mean, the
Oh,
only two I
I mean,
think that are flying together are the two SFs. But
yeah,
while it helps Phasma live better, it just more incentivizes you to just burn quick draw while you can.
yeah, but that's where you get quick draw with like the that's the thing. Like if I'm flying quick draw and Phasma, then there's a bigger emphasis on like Deuterium power cells, so that you can leverage the additional aggro that you're going to be taking, because nobody wants to shoot at Phasma. Because if you shoot at Phasma, that's a guaranteed one shield shoot back. You might as well just shoot at quick draw and just try to burn through the shields in a single turn.
Yeah, it went
Um,
the pattern proud on quick draw, not the
yeah. So in
deuterium.
this kind of situation, I would be more in line to go with actually a couple things. One of them to go with the Ditching Power Cells on Quick Draw, and I think that's also additional reason to go with Malrus with also Mag Pulse and just neuter the offense that is coming in to Quick Draw. Just multiple Mag Pulse, and I don't know. Like I said, I there's list choices that is hard to argue against because it won the event and it went undefeated. So you can't argue against it, but it's
No.
not list choices that I would recommend other people to emulate. I think there's more consistent ways to build this.
I don't think we're wrong to, I wouldn't say argue completely against, but look at a list and see, like, this may not be its final form, and understand that there are other options, but it is still probably worth trying it as is because it was successful, right? But knowing where there might be things that make it even better is still valuable to bring to the table.
Mhm. Yeah, I just think it's great on the player to buck the I5 or bust trend, and diving into those more efficient pieces.
Is that really even a trend now with the Arc
I mean,
170s and all the
it's
T70s? Do we
it's
do we really think it's an i5 or above that has to exist? I think no, not
I
anymore.
mean, the numbers say yes,
I
but
mean, would you
What
fly an
numbers?
all I4
the
list?
the pilot
Uh,
initiative distribution.
so would I fly an all five i4 list? Depends on what it can bring to the table, but I'm not like knocking it out completely just because it exists only at i4.
Okay.
But I'm
I mean,
not
that's
like I'm not. I wouldn't completely devalue. I mean, initially I would, but I haven't played FO to know if you can, how well you can do without Malrus. Because I think Malrus to me is less about her initiative, even though that is factored in the scenario point we're going to make with an at least scramble. But her ability helps her do actions and prioritize objectives when necessary and still have modifications.
true. I mean, but if they're gonna ignore Malrus, I mean, they could just as easily be ignoring a different ship who actually is throwing out dice. But I don't know. Like I said, we talk a lot about like got to get those high fives, but not always necessary. All right. Well, let's keep going though. Into the runner-ups, I just looked at the name but forgot it. JC or Jossie Roburio. I'm sure I'm slaughtering it, but that's okay.
JC Ribeiro.
Oh, perfect. Look at that. This list and Empire list got to the final table with a customizable X1 Vader. This is Shattering Shot, Malice, Trick Shot, Fire Control System, After Burners. Wow. As well, Lieutenant Lareer with Lone Wolf Targeting Computer, amazing 3-point little interceptor out there. Then Major Reimer going Concussion Bomb, Saturation Salvo, and Barrage Rocket. Then we see the rest of the Saturation Salvo squad there with Tomax Bren and Captain Jonas joining him. So this one drops still brings the 10 points of bombers, but drops the 4-pointer for a 3 to get that big Darth Vader out there. And let's just talk about Shattering Shot, Trick Shot, Darth Vader. Oh my god. So no pattern like elusive combination here. Just going really leaning in to those obstructed shots, potentially getting yourself 6 dice range 1 obstructed attack. That's crazy to me. You guys' thoughts on these Vaders?
The whole reason you take customizable is that so you can get pattern. That was the whole argument I was told. I was lied to.
It's also for Shattering.
I don't think you were lied to yet.
This is. I mean, we've seen this before with like Luke, right? Luke did this a lot, like the shattering, the shattering trick.
Right. It turns out when Vader can get the focus and lock to be able to modify that shattering shot. So you assume you're spending 1 for focus lock, 1 force for focus lock, and then you spend your 2nd force for shattering shot. And then you could just spend your focus or the malice if there's only 1 eyeball, I guess. I don't know if I would recommend spending 2 force to add a crit. But yeah, in the right situations. I would just be interested in see the pathing and like the obstacles, because like this isn't just throw it on the table and like joust stuff like boy Vader is. You do have to recognize those lanes to get the trick shots. And I notice here as well, big debris put down on the board, forcing your opponent to carefully fly in between them. But you come in from the side with that shattering shot. Pretty impressive. Still, no sensitive controls on these Lareers. Am I weird? I thought I was a trendsetter, but apparently
I think it's cool. I think I only go for it if I take trick shot Lareer. Like that's the combo I would go for. Maybe there's I understand how crazy it can be, but the auto thrusters already is also crazy where he could be.
Sure.
So
I don't think you're
to the
wrong
coin.
either way. It's just interesting that I'm seeing nobody else use it though. I mean, still though,
the controls on him is just more fun.
It is.
I mean, they're both good. You do not. I mean, the level of fun is just it's just out of this world. So it's just fun.
Yeah, it turns out if I don't know where I'm going, you don't. You surely won't either. Yeah, exciting stuff there. Love to see when we talk about how Boy and SSP, the starter pack Vader, are like, oh man, there's such a tough choice between them. But still seeing the 7-point Vader show up means that something's working out very good there. But now, on to, this is Zeka Bowen. I'm sure that's how it's pronounced. Brings us, though, Ryan, I was excited for a second. A separatist list. This is Zam, Django, and Dirge. Zam's got marksmanship, Savage for that force point, thermal detonators, contraband cybernetics, delayed fuses, the Slave 1 title, and skilled bombardier. So really going into those bombs with the fire spray there. Dirge has Lone Wolf, Proton Cannon, Contraband Cybernetics, and the Xanadu Blood title. Then Django with just Notorious, Count Dooku, and Contraband Cybernetics. That's all the loadout he gets? I guess so. Ryan, I know this isn't your normal flavor.
All the loadout. I mean, Contraband and Notorious is 10, and Dooku is 12, so that's 22.
I guess so. I would go for the big upgrades, you know. But Ryan, what do you think about this? I know it's not your standard separatist squad, but something.
I mean, this is technically a standard separatist squad. It's not my separatist squad. I wish that would be standard. But anyway, I think it's solid. It's tough to say completely because I don't think there's been enough separatist data to say for sure. But this seems like it's starting to edge its way out of the pack as probably the premier archetype in separatist right now. Just double fire spray plus rogue.
This is the highest count separatist list. So
what do you mean? Oh, count like isn't like what's showing up on Pattern Analyzer like overall?
Yeah. So this is the highest count by almost triple.
Yep, that sounds about right.
And
what's the count number actually? Like how many? I bet it's under 50.
34.
This has only been taken 34 times out of all the events we've had, and that's the highest separatist count. No one's playing the faction, as we know.
I almost triple, like I said.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has a pretty solid win rate, like a 60% win rate. So
yeah, no, I mean
that is actually a very solid win rate.
Yeah, people have taken them, like have a good idea what they're doing with it. I think the Django loadout completely, like that's what I probably would do. The Dirge loadout, you have 3 ships. Lone Wolf is a pretty good trick when you have proton cannons and you would like to mitigate your blanks on offense. So it makes that proton cannon even more dangerous. And it kind of makes, when Dirge is recharging the proton cannon, it kind of makes him then sort of go into a pattern of set up proton cannon, go do objective. Set up proton cannon, go do objective. Like you get that little bit of like objective focus because like the shots that you're going to take when it's charging aren't great unless you're range 1 and have them in bullseye so they can't spend their green tokens and at least you can generate 3 die attack. Otherwise, I think the most that you have to play with is Zam. Because you could opt for a plethora of different upgrades when you're using stuff like Savage, the Slave 1 title. You don't need Veteran Tail Gunner because your double attacking is from Zam's ability. So you can take your Contraband Cybernetics and try and focus on using like a bomb or pick a particular talent. I don't know completely about the combination of thermals plus skilled bombardier. Like maybe you could do because skill bombardier is what 2 points and your marksmanship is 1, so you get 3 points to play around with if you want to stick with a 5-point bomb, whether it's proton or thermal. I get what thermal can do to help enable Django's Notorious, though. I do like that specific combination. Whether or not the skill bombardier marksmanship is the best final 3 and delayed fuses, actually, like I don't know if you need all that stuff for your bomb. But when you only have 3 ships, maybe there is a lot to making sure that you're denying an area for as long as possible to let your 3 ships roam and play in the space they want to.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's just, if you're not used to double fire spray, and maybe that, do you think that has a factor? I mean, we just don't see it as often. We used to see like every tournament there'd be a high placing double fire spray list, but I mean it has really fallen off, especially with Boba
Yeah.
going out of favor.
So the only other like fire spray list that you really see, besides the double fire spray uh and who is it?
Dirge.
The
Dirge and
Dirge,
Separatist.
that's what it is. Yeah.
Honestly, he's probably in
So
the scum list too.
I mean honestly no, it's been Finn Rao has been filling out
Oh,
the
because you go
scum version.
776. Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't take Boba, do
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, Leo
it's been Eamon, Hondo, or Crassus, and Finn Rao.
yeah, Leo, who was at Worlds, he's probably good. He made the cut with it. It's Fenrau, Eamon, Azamine, and Crassus, and then just like a salad of upgrades on there. I did tell him before the tournament. He's like, I'm flying Fen and 2 things, and I told him, I said, stop and fly Django Zam if you want to fly 2 fire spray. I was proven right. Leo,
Yeah.
you suck. Next time, listen.
Wow.
I
Very
don't know.
direct.
I don't
Full
know about
shade.
that. But
He's
it
my guy.
is.
That's cool.
I will say that the scum version of that does have a very high placing percentile, as in like the people who take it win. But there's not many counts of it.
I think
but
I kind of
that-
figured out. Like I was re-looking at how I would build the Zam out, while maintaining a good bomb. Sorry, not a good. A higher performing or necessity some level of bomb that's not seismic, basically. Savage Press and Slave 1 and having enough for a viable talent. I think Elusive actually could play really well into Zam. So a little bit of additional defensive advantage when you have contraband cybernetics. Fire sprays do like doing those town rolls or 4Ks and getting back into the fight with their front arc instead of just kind of floating away with the rear arc. So I think it's kind of reasonable to go whether it's thermal or proton or ion and delayed fuses or something with elusive for Zam.
I mean, honestly, that contraband is just a sort of like a get out of jail free card. If you do like a bump focus or you do a reinforce on a big turn, not being limited to your blues is extremely helpful.
It all makes sense to me. The just giving you a lot of bad decisions, really, when you face off against this list. So, but I mean, it takes skill to fly a 3-ship list in today's objective world. So, really, really big congratulations there. But let's move on to Daniel's list here with a resistance squad. They are brought a true, actual 5 T70 list.
Yeah, 3x plus 2x.
Yeah, yes. Turns out that plus 2 was just more X. The Elo, of course. We always start with Elo. This one, just shield upgrade. 8 health Elo out there. Yikes. Timon with marksmanship and shield. I'm sensing a trend here. Kirkun with shield upgrade. That's a natural daredevil. Jessica Pava, no shield upgrade, unfortunately. This one has paint and BB astromech. Then Nimi with, you guessed it, shield upgrade. So brings 5 more health to an already impressive stat line of health with these T70s. I'm baffled by this, to be honest with you, because I thought double monitor offense, that's how you win with T70s, but turns out if you could just rotate them out, they could just survive to be rotated out. You can win the day.
This is boost snap, right? Not flappy wing.
This is because Flap is 5 points.
He is okay.
Yeah, or else
yeah. I'm at a loss here.
I don't think can bring 5 T70s with Flap. I don't think that's
you gotta
that's how
drop
that
one.
works out.
You gotta drop one down, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But not bringing Flappy Wing, and bring in a bunch of shields. There's no like super cool astromechs besides Jess's BB.
Sure.
I
mean, this is
Ryan,
just
Ryan,
like to,
explain to me.
Yeah, is it just to like prevent fatigue? Just to round out the numbers a little bit better, that you're not missing triggers or anything like that.
I mean, also
What am I
getting up to the 8th health. Like, why these shield upgrades?
I mean, because they can. I don't know.
I don't.
They got the
I mean,
loadout.
it worked. It worked.
It worked. I'm personally not a huge fan, but sure.
It does get up to that even number for the squat for the health, so that they have to do 1 more damage. Oh no, it isn't. It's the same. Oh,
No,
I
no,
don't know then.
It's
No,
odd
that's-
numbers you need to get to.
Odd numbers.
Well, no, it's still the same thing that they would need. Oh yeah, it's still 4 damage, right? But you'd have 4
4,
left
yeah.
left over. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turns out, these abilities are pretty good. That you don't really need upgrades. It turns out, just health.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, just health. I mean, how many times do you say in an event that you say, "Man, I wish my X-wing had 1 more health"?
I mean, not often, but
It
can be.
Never.
Can be big.
When they die, that's when they die.
Yeah,
I don't worry about having 1 more health. It's just like, oh, they died. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
Did they kill enough
see-
to justify their death? Yes. All right, cool. We're good.
I wonder if they like invest in more target locks or something. If they're going shield upgrade, then hard to say. Ryan, so this has Elo, Tem, and Jess, the standard 3, but Kier
Yeah.
and Nimi, because Venza, you can't take the shield because you need some sort of munition.
Well, you don't need Barrage Rocket, but that's the trick. Like you
Right.
bring her to have a front and back arc.
Okay, so that would explain why
So-
Nimi and Kier are in there instead. I mean,
I will
Nimi's still
say-
good. Like, Nimi does naturally double modifier attacks. Jess naturally
Ni-
double modifies their
Nimi
attacks.
should theoretically draw the most aggro out of this entire list because if you don't get her to spend the focus on defense, her attack back is going to be very likely 3 hits or 4.
I will say only 2 of Daniel's games went to time.
Oh yeah, this is a run it down. I dare you to beat me. And if you beat me, it's going to go bad quick.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
He had a lot of potty
theoretically,
breaks in between those rounds. He was
Theoretically,
not-
with shield upgraded shouldn't go bad quick, but it still can. Spoiler.
Sure.
yeah. I mean,
Oh, it was chance
congrats.
engagement.
Like,
Yeah, that one of the ones that didn't go to time.
that didn't go to time was chance.
Yeah, it
That's
didn't go to
or
time.
It's pretty common.
Yeah.
If you're only playing like 5 or 6 rounds, yeah, it's possible. And you're shooting into 8 health T70s. Yeah, maybe it doesn't go to time.
It's just enchants gaming. Why won't you just die?
Yeah, let's jump over to the pattern analyzer, because then I could go through the rest of the cut here real quick. Like, if
I actually had a pretty good
Oh.
spread on the factions for the cut.
Oh, mine's not working?
You may have to let it load a little bit and refresh your page. Try turning it off and on again.
Oh, Shift F5 it. Give it the real reload. No. It's
Yeah,
not.
all factions in the cut.
All factions in the cut. I don't think I've seen that in quite a while.
And actually, that Empire list was the only Empire list in the cut. There were 2 Scum. There was 3 First Order. 3 Resistance. 2 Republic. 1 Separatist. 4 Rebel. Yeah. Weird seeing Empire and CIS holding the 2 lowest contributions in the cut. I mean, the CIS one makes sense. We normally see like low amount of CIS brought, but 1 generally makes cut. Empire, on the other hand, that's where it's weird to see that much non-Empire representation of the cut. where it is the second highest brought faction in the event, with the highest actually being Resistance.
Interesting. Yeah,
Rebels weren't even the top 3. Scum was a high take at the 3rd spot for the most taken lists.
wow.
That is also surprising.
Yeah, Rebels not being in the top half of the, well, technically right in the middle of taken.
Yeah, I was looking at
Taken.
those 2 scum lists that made the cut, and not as surprised as you might think. The 776 fire spray, Fen Rao makes it in, but doesn't get past the first round, but of the cut. And then same thing with a 6644 going Fen Rao, Bosk, Cad Bane, and Dirge. I think both of those are. If you are like racking your brain for scum squads, 6644. Honestly, they have so many options for that combination. That is worth looking into. Afra, I think, did Dengar go down to 6 as well? And then you have all the Fangs, all the Rogues for your 4-pointers. So a lot of options there. Really flavor to taste on that. Though the consistent part is Fen Rao. So if you are flying scum, you better start practicing Fen Rao because
I will
seems
say
required.
That every single one of the scum ships had a different composition, or the scum players had the scum list had a different composition, so they're all bringing different lists.
Interesting.
So, very interesting. Like usually we'll see like, oh, they brought the good scum list a couple times, but
sure.
like the good when I say.
Well, turns out. I mean, that's always interesting to me to see, like that breakout list, that like defining list. I mean, like this is the scum list, but I'm really. It's a good thing that we don't have a definitive list, in my opinion. Maybe Rebels, but I think people are branching off away from Rebels. That like rigid Han Luke +3. Oh, here we go. I got it to work now. It loaded. I had to get the information all the way from South America. So just scrolling through here, we see a Republic list in number 6 with only 2 of the
Force
Arcs, yes. 4 stocks bringing a torrent, 2 torrents. Wow.
2 torrents, and a matchstick.
Impressive. We saw another Zori Bliss at in 5th place there. A resistance list in 7th place without Poe. No Poe at all in the list. Ray, 9, Elo, and Zori. Let's see, anything else really standing out to me here?
That FO list from Mauricio.
Sure.
No
Kylo.
No Kylo, yeah.
Wow. Takes backdraft in DT instead.
Brought the troopers.
I see that. Jeez.
Oh, backdraft. Haven't seen backdraft in a while.
I mean, turns out First Order's got a deep bench.
You really gotta start digging to the bottom, and it's still good. It's still good down here.
Yeah, turns out, the 4th and 5th place 4-pointers are still amazing. I'm not seeing too much else that's really standing out to me. So let's go into those stats. Let's continue talking about them. What other stats were you guys drawn to here for this Brazilian tournament?
So we were talking about a little bit earlier about the average pilot initiative, but we can see here For Brazil, it was actually a bit leaned down towards 4.
I see that.
And I think that is indicative of there being less rebel, and that initiative 6 being less popular, and the middle being more popular, the 4 and 5 being more popular. But we
Interesting.
all like at mostly 5s, as you would guess, but not too far behind is initiative 4.
Yeah, one thing I did notice here in the squad size, I don't think. Let me pull it back up on the
There's
Madrid.
one.
There's
There's
one
one.
what? Oh, there was one 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 7 and 8 have just really fallen off lately as
Yeah.
options for squads. I mean,
Yeah.
Ryan.
Numbers are good, but not too many numbers.
Yeah, Ryan. What? Why aren't we reaching for 7 if 6 is so good? If 6, why aren't we
Is
going
6
for
really
7?
good? Do
I don't
we
know.
know that?
I don't
No,
know.
5 is really good.
Yeah, right.
It's been the most popular.
Firepower is so high and so effective right now that going down to more ships when, like, so let's say an example, when you take 2 Z95s in Republic instead of SOC Anakin, or when you take 2 Black Squadron Ace TIE fighters instead of a 4-pointer in Empire, anything along those lines, you're like, those ships are just asking to get pasted any turn in most cases right now, just how good the offense is. And actually, when 4-pointers are T70s, arcs, fangs, like, if you're a 3-pointer as well, just hanging out, like, oh, look at all the 3-pointers I brought 4 3-pointers and 2 4-pointers. Like, those 3-pointers are not going to have fun when there's 5 other ships on the board, like the 5-ship resistance, being like, all right, I only have 1 less ship, but I'm just going to start taking ships off the board because, like, your individual power between each ship is not good, and combined fire is not enough to deal with Hans right now with those, because you end up with a lot of 2-die attack stuff or conditional things that require locks for secondary weapons or bullseyes for secondary weapons to push through damage that you need to be able to hit on Han or any other ship that's going to hang around for a while, and doesn't cut it.
Yeah, two die guns going into a 1 agility ship that essentially says, I have,
I'm gonna find paint.
I'm gonna find and evade somewhere, or a ship like Vader, or another 3 agility ship that can just roll out of it a lot of the time. That 2 dice attack really turns into, you may as well shot a jamming beam sometimes.
Yep, or Luke, like 2-on-2, but
Yeah.
Luke has infinite force essentially against any of those attacks incoming, or good luck throwing your 3-die single modded attack at a Fang in range 1 with Concordia, right?
Yeah. I would rather shoot anything else than a Fang at range 1 with a Concordia.
And then, like, Kio's just hanging around with an evade and force, like, good luck.
Yeah.
Basically
you
have to track down Han.
Evade. It's like you made me spend my force, so now I get Trixie.
Yeah. So there's a reason why I've been preaching, like, since 2 or 3 months ago, bring real guns. A lot of ships with 2 dice attacks are not part of that category unless they're like a Tomax or a Lima or a Zori, where their natural dice is 2, but they are an I-5 ship that can reliably find something to target lock to Plasma Torp or something similar.
Yeah. I think even bringing like 1 2 die, because I bring Luminara a lot, and even bringing that 1 2 die ship, really, it can reduce the firepower of a squad.
That's all sound reasoning, to be honest with you. Don't really have a rebuttal to that. I mean, you got to get. I mean, more shots is good, but they got to be quality shots, right?
I don't even know how crazy this would be, this is what I would like to see potentially happen, is take the Hayor Chal prototypes in the vultures for separatist.
Mm-hmm.
Since they're 2 pipped, make them 1 point.
So separatist.
And I don't even know if
vultures.
that's even like close to game breaking or anything like overpowered. Just, that's where we're at.
I would be sad to see that in a double fire spray list. It's like, oh, I brought double fire spray and I brought 3 more ships.
Those 3 ships are like not doing
Oh,
much.
they're paper. Oh yeah, they're paper.
Yeah.
Right. Could be
But
interesting.
like they can do objectives, which the fire sprays are not good at. So that is interesting though. Like I don't know if we'll ever get to 1-point ships.
I know who they should be in their vultures.
Yeah,
They should have
they're
1-point
I
ship.
think you mean X-wings.
No, they're network vultures, right? Like, geez. Do we still have a 1-point ship anymore? No, because the pup went up to 2, didn't it? Oh,
Wait, the pup is not 2. He can't be 2.
the pup is 2. He's the same price
The
as
pup
Boss.
can be anything they say it is.
Yeah,
Oh my, that is.
he's.
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
is
you
2
could,
points.
if you're not Bosk, you could just be Bosk inside of your thing. You don't actually have to bring the pup anymore.
The pup and an autopilot drone need to be 1.
I don't think
they
the
all?
autopilot.
They are
drone-
2.
Yeah, he needs to be 1.
I don't. Yeah. Well.
They weren't buying them at 1. They're not going to buy them at 2, obviously.
I would buy him at 1.
Yeah.
100% buy him at
Sure.
1.
Well,
Sure.
I think Nashta should be the pup should be 1.
Because that doesn't even deploy. That only is
It's
emergency.
only emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
The autopilot drone at least could decide to not be deployed and just
Yeah, and
Right,
it can
let's-
also
let-
use it. It can also use its shields on the Falcon. So
I can still coordinate.
Yeah, let's
And
spam the
it's
internet. We want autopilot drone at 1.
No.
we went
Yes,
pump
yes.
at
We
1.
want autopilot drone at 1. Spam the internet.
You were
Every
way
post.
more upset about
Every
the pup
post.
being at 1.
I don't care about the pup. I want drone at 1.
Pup sad.
Wow.
Any other stats that you see on here? It's really yelling at you.
Not really. Everything seemed. I mean, the lists themselves, the list variety is honestly the most interesting fact coming from this event.
Yeah.
Just having so much, and almost like no rebels. It's really the real headline there.
That is interesting. Yeah.
They're giving up on them. Maybe they just don't have boy packs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could be. Could be. Well, before too late tonight, before it gets too late tonight, I still want to hit some of these loadout questions. What do we have queued up for our loadout faction tonight?
I think we got 1 faction because
Yeah.
we're already 90 in.
I understand.
Yeah,
one
what do we want to
faction.
finish out the sequels with Resistance or something? That might, because we did FO last week.
Yeah, that'll be a shorter one too.
So sure. So resistance it is. Who wants to start? Give me a pilot.
I nominate James.
Not nominating a pilot, nominating me to go first.
Correct.
Okay. Let's go
James.
with Jess.
Jess Pava. We talked to her.
Jess Bob.
Talked a bit about builds for her for the tournaments. What is
we
your
we
thoughts
saw
on it?
Yeah, we saw a couple of different versions today.
I think we
just
saw
talking
BB Paint.
BB Paint. We saw for sure. Which I think is that the one that you've been running as well.
Yeah, I've done BB-8 and Ferrosphere Paint. Both have been great contributions together. I've used BB both with the ability and with the charges for Justice ability.
That's right.
We've also seen M9G8 and Baffle.
Yeah, just not really leaning into the charges, like just relying on that one charge and going baffle. You could also go no talent really messes with your number a little bit, but
Started reaching for
You
that heroic, didn't
R2D2.
Don't
You can
call me
do
out like that.
you do R2D2 and just have max charges.
Yeah,
R2D2
I have
jamming.
seen
Mm-hmm.
I have seen that before with R2D2. If they need Jess to be a linchpin of the list where you need a lot of charges.
Right. If she's your
that is very
spearhead, if you really are trying to convince players to shoot at her, you want as many defensive rerolls as possible, or shields
Yeah,
back.
or-
Either way.
Actually, R1J5 is not terrible because you get 3 charges, but you also get a legitimate similar to R2D2, but you do
Yeah,
get a
that's
legitimate
true.
ability out of
Yeah.
that. You know,
That is like a healing almost.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a little cheaper in that regard. Yeah.
Yeah,
that is
so-
I mean, I don't. You don't
we
have a
mostly
whole lot
just
of
see
other
bucket.
points.
I mean, go baffle.
Yeah, we mostly
or underslung.
baffle. Yeah.
Underslung.
We mostly see bucket on the
Fireball.
or the fireballs, but you can definitely throw it on these T70s and probably with pretty good success as well because they do have they still have 4-hole, and in the event that they do repair those damage cards that say repair, you can just get rid of it.
Yep. Things
Yep.
like panicked or direct fuel leak.
Single
to
power
be shipped.
regulator.
Yeah, it's mostly disabled
Oh,
and
it has to be ship. Yeah.
direct.
Bucket's not
Is that it?
calming your panic.
Or
nerves.
loose stabilizer if you just do a move. That
That's
isn't
right.
straight.
You just get rid of the
Mm.
loose.
Yeah.
Spend
don't
a charge, get rid of
actually-
the loose.
Yep.
And that can
there's-
be tricksy for your opponent.
You also have the option if you want just to still get actions after red moves. There's always still pattern analyzer. You can either take baffle to do multiple red moves in a
Sure.
row, or take R4 for a slightly more, basically 2 turns is the only thing that's added on there.
Yeah.
I think it's a little less desirable overall. There's so
think
many
at that-
situations when I go for 4Ks or talent rolls with Jess that when I know I'm doing that, I'm generally doing a move with someone else that puts someone around her so she gets rerolls for the turnaround.
Mhm.
Yeah. So looks like there's a couple of different options. We have bucket, R2D2, and it looks like the more prevalent has been BB and paint nowadays. With a lot of people went in locks. So
All right. So
get your
Well,
lock
I'd actually
protection here.
say that combination has really just been, they said, more recent, and I don't even think it's been that adopted. I think the most popular is M9G8.
That's true.
People have been mainly just saying, okay, Jess doesn't need a lock. I can live with just her 1 charge per turn, and just I'm going to lock a friend for my target lock and let them get rerolls also, while I already have my rerolls from my friends around.
Would you consider automated target priority at that point, or you just
Nope.
you just put an ATP in the trash?
Oh, no ATP, no thanks. Not with range zeros.
Yeah.
Also, not with so I get it's a potential efficiency of like Jess getting a calculate, so she always has something to mod with, but should rarely be missing actually with how modified her shot can be and shooting last, meaning not a lot of stuff has tokens left over. And on top of that, her shot can be very valuable to choose who you need to shoot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You do take those range 2s over the range 1 sometimes.
So I have a question from our chat. We are live on these Mondays. If you only listen to us in podcast form, we're live on Twitch on these Mondays. But Lambolo asks, what's the virtue of electronic baffle? Well, we'll read the cards here. And it says, during the end phase, you may suffer 1 damage to remove 1 red token, which could be strain, deplete, ion, and stress. Oh, and
Lock.
lock. So why would you ever damage yourself to remove one of these things?
Ion's probably a big one.
Ion's a big one. Also, lock, making Vader take his lock again. Or I think the biggest one really is the stress, being able to like do a bump focus and then do a 4K still.
Or just open up your dial more.
Or yeah, just open your dial for the price of a damage. Like if you're not being targeted by the enemies, then that one damage is probably not going to be like. How many times have you finished a game with your ship being on full health because it was just never shot at? So you can turn those shields into resources and to open up your dial.
Your health is a resource with Baffle. If they're focusing on that ship, then you probably don't baffle very often. But there are likely enough games when you have other targets that might be higher priority or just situationally where, bump focus, opening up dial, getting rid of an ion token or I don't know. Even if you get panic pilot, right, a second stress so that you can just clear the other one with a blue. There's numerous amounts of situations where taking one damage to get rid of that red token is way worth it by comparison. And yeah, James put it greatly. Health is a resource when you need it.
Yeah, taking like a 2 straight blue to like a 4 straight boost is a big difference in positioning on that field.
Yeah, all solid points. But let's go to Marcel. Give me a Resistance pilot who you think has got some loadout options.
I'm gonna ignore all of your suggestions on there. Yeah, let's go with somebody that is flown is good, but isn't as flown as often as the ones that you've got listed up there, which is YT 1300 Chewbacca. I think he's got some options.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Chewbacca comes in at 18 loadout.
Yep, and his ability is after a friendly ship at range 0 to 3 is destroyed, before that ship is removed, you may perform an action. Then you may perform a bonus attack. I think what you tend to see most often with him is, used to be Ray Gunner and Notorious plus something. That doesn't really work because Ray and Notorious brings you up to 17, and there is not a 1-point illicit. So that little 3 action or that 3 combo doesn't work anymore. You're 1 point off from making it work.
What was the other upgrade other than Ray?
It was Ray, Deadman or something, and Notorious. That's what it used to be.
Yes.
Yeah, just being able to get the just the Notorious out there because of the lower or mid initiative. It's not lower initiative because of the mid initiative. But one thing that I think is interesting is an option. Again, we're going with options. Is Ray Gunner. Definitely you need Ray Gunner out there because Ray Gunner is just, that's just money, right? Outside of Ray Gunner, I love Hondo Onaka. To really, 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 you can use him as a coordinator initiative 4, but also when his ability triggers, if you have not used Hondo Onaka, you can basically coordinate a ship that already shot that turn or a ship that is stressed that turn and then jam the ship that you're going to do your follow-up bonus attack on. Or you can jam one of your own ships that already shot or has no shot and provide an action to a ship that is yet to shoot. So I like the Hondo, Onaka, and Chewbacca, and I think Ray is just anytime you have the option to put Ray on there, you do. So I personally would. I just now as we were talking, I put that together. I'm like, that would be a ton of fun. Just having engagement, initiative, whatever, depends on whenever somebody dies. Hondo trigger. Yeah, it seems like that gives you a ton of flexibility, especially with Hondo being able to do his thing at range 1 to 3.
So
I'm actually gonna
dang, that's all
debunk.
your loadout.
I'm actually gonna make the argument because I too really wish I could run Ray and Notorious. I think Notorious is more important on Chewbacca than Ray, and it sounds crazy because yes, Ray is really good, but what's really bad is an easy to target dead Chewie. Because if you don't have Notorious, there's no consequence at all for doing what you should be doing against a list with Chewie, which is kill Chewie first. I think Notorious might actually be a higher necessity than Ray, specifically for Chewbacca. On any other non-Ray pilot Falcon, it's 100% Ray Gunner. But I think
So I'm hearing Notorious Contraband Hondo is what I'm hearing then.
I'm not in on the Hondo personally. I'm not fully against it. It sounds interesting.
It's fine.
I've generally built Notorious False Transponder Codes Contraband Engine Upgrade Chewbacca. So double illicit, Notorious, and engine.
We're going fun, not good. Hondo
I think this is fun too.
Okay, there it is. I mean, I have to agree
William?
with the Notorious here. Otherwise, it's all in on the 11th health Chewbacca.
Yeah, if you don't have Notorious, I think you just get burned down because if you're bringing Chewbacca, you're probably bringing a lot of other ships that probably don't have a ton of fire. I mean, you still have 14 points left.
I was gonna say you can do 6-4-4, 6 which is Chewie, 3 4s in BB-8. So you can still bring 3 of those 4 costs.
Is this still 3x plus 2?
Yes, technically. This is still technically 3x plus 2, but it's not the same vein, so I'm going to put it as this is a Chewbacca list.
Yeah. Wait, no, there's no X-Wings at 3 points.
No,
you don't need a 3-point ship. You take 3 4-point ships in BB-8, who's 2 points.
Oh, I equaled 12 the wrong way then.
You were like 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. No. 4, 4, 4, 2.
Okay. So, oh wow, yeah. We found it. We found it. We found the 3X.
This actually
with the Falcon.
Yeah, this actually sounds pretty interesting. Like the 3X or the 3 4s and a 2, whatever you want to bring. That sounds interesting.
I think it's something I've actually considered trying. I think it's actually interesting enough to test.
That sounds like fun. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, Ryan, do you have one for us? A pilot that you want to take a look at? Oh, sorry. What was actually what do you do with Notorious? What's the rest of your loadout for Notorious Chewbacca?
I went false contraband engine. Double illicit engine, basically.
Double illicit, no cruise. The solo Baka.
You guys convinced me away from Ray. So I do like Notorious better than Ray, but Notorious, Deadman, Agile, Gunner, Hondo. Hondo's better.
The Agile Gunner.
I do like Agile though. Yeah, I will admit Agile is good.
Oof. Yeah, if you can find a 1 point.
Agile, Notorious, Deadman, Hondo. Yeah.
Is that the best 1 point upgrade in the game right now?
I mean, if you're a large base.
Marksmanship. Marksmanship
has
has something to say. Yeah.
I don't know. Like if everyone could the benefit of Agile, I think outweighs the benefit of marksmanship in most games that you bring Agile, right?
Well, it's because the ships that they go on.
Right.
So you know what? Here's actually I think a pretty good Agile version of Chewie. So instead of false transponder codes, you stick with contraband. You can do Agile Gunner Trick Shot.
Yeah. Getting 2 trick shots a turn, possibly.
Yeah, I don't think many people want that to happen. Would you, sir? Imagine, right? Chewie's got to focus. They're like, oh, he's not obstructed or anything. I'll kill this ship and take an extra 3-die shot. But instead, Chewie says, I'm gonna boost now into range 1 obstructed 5-dice shot. Good luck.
Yeah.
Oh no. And now he hasn't shot yet, so he can just do it again.
Do it again. Yeah.
Do it again.
Man.
Alright.
That messes with my head, Ryan.
Correct. That I love bringing stuff that messes with my opponent's head. Hey, do you want to make this decision? This is on you.
Wait, can you? Wait, hold up. Wait. He gets is it an action, then an attack?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then perform an attack.
Yeah.
What does it take to get rigged cargo shooting here?
Oh,
Contraband,
What is it?
notorious,
Not a lot of
trick
stuff
shot.
is directly behind
you-
Chewie, though.
Well, yeah, contraband, agile, rigged cargo, trick shot. Just drop the cargo right on top of somebody and then blast them. They'll be strained, right? It guarantees the strain rolls for stress. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the electro chaffs or whatever now these days. That's interesting. Good to be determined.
Yeah, we just listed off, I think, 3 pretty real Chewbacca builds. All with Notorious, right? Like, do you go
Yeah.
false transponder codes? Do you go
you have-
Hondo? Do you go
have the-
agile trick shot?
You have the Ray option if you don't go wide.
Yeah, or if you have like a different Notorious character, if you got like a Kaz in there, if you're like, I love Notorious Kaz, then you have the option for Ray, Hunter Chewbacca.
Yeah. I think you go Ray if you don't go wide.
That checks out. All right, Ryan, give us a pilot.
All right. Let's bring. Do we stick with the Falcon, or we just go back to a T-70?
Those are your only options.
Yeah, kinda. Let's go back to T-70s.
Okay.
Let's go LO, the most taken pilot in
that's
Resistance, but has so many options available to him that seem completely reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as a note, has talent, tech, astro, mod, hardpoint, and 8 loadout.
You can use all of those. Not like all of them at once, but you could consider something in every one of those slots, and it would be reasonable. Like 2 talents. I mean, you already could have combinations of, like my first LO I built was like Predator, Crack Shot, Jamming Beam, just because I had 1 point left and it was I5, whatever. If you could go Lone Wolf instead of Predator if you have like a 4-ship or less list. You could take I mean, I think it's mainly Predator, Crack, Heroic, Lone Wolf. All those talents seem reasonable. Marksmanship is very reasonable. Then you got all your astromechs. You got anything from M9G8 to BB or BB8s to make sure you set up those good talent rolls with system phase repositions depending on who's got what player for road. You got any of the regen
boost.
droids.
I do. Yeah, the initiative 5 system phase boosts to block someone else, and then do
Boost block, do a
white.
white talent roll, get dunked on. Nasty.
Done.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And then you got advanced optics, which is okay. I think out of all of them, the tech besides Ferrosphere is probably going to be the least utilized. We don't need pattern analyzer with LO.
You don't need primed. You don't need pattern.
And I personally don't even.
Great on him.
Yeah, I don't like optics on a higher. It's weird. I don't think I like it generally overall right now, but I like it less on higher initiative stuff because I do value using my focus on defense as well. Keep the ships around.
Just quick tangent there. Why do you think optics is not being favored lately? Is it just that being a little bit priced out?
I think you can mitigate your blanks on offense through the double talent. You got Predator or Lone Wolf. You got Crack Shot to help push damage through anyway in a, I think, mathematically better effect than even optics anyway. You have R68 as an astromech you can put on LO, which is completely reasonable too. There's so many other ways to mitigate your offensive blanks than optics for cheaper. And since you're I5, you can reliably get bullseyes with the focus barrel roll with the closed foils. With even the weapon hardpoint, you have plasma torpedo. That was my go-to 5-point thing in my Nova run. plasmas are awesome, and at I5, it could be one of the first things shooting your list. So bye shields. Everyone else, go shoot and kill the thing.
Rockets.
Rockets, HLC is reasonable. Any of the bullseye stuff.
I do love HLCs on T70s because of that roll focus. Like just leaning into that bullseye, because if you line up that bullseye with that roll focus, it is beautiful.
Yep. And then as we saw in the quote beefier version, he can just take shield upgrade. Or what's kind of crazy to me, all those T70s who could take shield upgrade, they could also just take afterburners. No one's really done the mass afterburners T70 stuff yet.
That's not.
Temin doesn't need it, but like everyone else could use it. It sounds awesome to go like, I'm gonna go whoosh a lot very fast. Go get him. Pressure.
Yeah,
early.
you can boost barrel roll, boost focus barrel roll, and still get your full attack.
Yeah.
So yeah, because you're lining up that bullseye.
Like those Talon boosts. Boosting after reds.
Oh man, white Talon afterburners into focus
and
barrel
then still
roll.
get an action. Yeah, get him.
Yeah, Ella's a big fan of that. Oh man.
Yeah.
I didn't think there were any more.
Yeah, right. You're like, oh man, the mod slot really isn't that used. Is it though? Like it could be.
It's got some good actions on it. Yeah.
I mean, you do still have overdrive with Elo, but it's not nearly as good as with Poe.
Yeah,
it only
because
works on this focus roll.
Yeah, it only works on the focus roll, which sounds hilarious to focus 2 roll with Elo, but it's a must, not a may. So it's like, Poe at least has the order of operations he can choose.
Yeah, the may with Poe is pretty nice.
Basically the may. So I mean, there really is so many combinations to this Elo, and that might be one of the reasons why, not only because he's I5 at a 4 cost T70, right? And he has a valid ability, but he can be tooled to almost literally anything you want to do.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys mentioned
there's
this one,
a correct loadout for Elo. There are preferred loadouts, there are preferred upgrades. But I think a lot of it is, what do you want Elo to do for your list to be successful?
Yeah, for me, I always find them to be the easiest M9G8 carrier. I just do heroic marksman M9G8 almost every time I build him because he becomes kind of self-sufficient, and it allows him to just give his target lock to somebody else, and he's gonna be okay. Like he doesn't need anything else. He's still gonna get his 4 points worth with just heroic marksmanship and giving someone else the offensive modifier.
I think my one issue with M9 Elo is I like repositioning with him first turn so often, whether it's booster.
True. Makes sense to me.
We didn't even talk a bunch about heroic on him, but yeah, that is definitely still a great option. Like any X-wing is T70 is great with heroic.
I built heroic marksmanship, R3, and underslung.
You're still fighting the underslung?
Start slinging those slungs. You know, that's all I gotta say about that.
I have not seen the underslung do work.
Well,
we did see it in that Wednesday game. Not looking for. We did see underslung. We had like 3 underslungs in that game.
The underslung was the only way that they even had a chance to shoot at Sunfac in that game. So it did actually matter. But yeah, a little.
I've only brought underslung to like I had 2 points left and didn't even have like I've already taken baffle, or like I wouldn't take baffle on said ship, like a Neon Numb who likes doing stuff that can clear his stress, just to be like, I have an arc here to not be outmaneuvered. That's it.
Oh yeah, definitely does work. Yeah,
but outmaneuver's like nowhere in the meta right now. Literally non-existent.
Yeah. The one guy that brought it, they told him no.
I think Grievous should have it back. We've seen the error of our ways. Separatists
Free
still
Grievous.
suck. Free Grievous once more. Bring him back to his former glory. If Luke
Or
Skywalker can be
make him
5
4
points, outmaneuver Grievous can be 5 points.
Make him 4 points without outmaneuver.
Oh, that's probably too good. I'll be honest.
Okay, Dirge is over there sitting in the corner,
Yeah,
just
Dirge and Cat, I'm sure.
No,
Fine.
like Dirge can die. He just takes another potentially another shot to die or another damage to die. But like Grievous with Solus One Impervium plating completely outclasses survivability versus Dirge.
I mean, he can cloak too.
Like once.
Mm.
And stay close. I hear you. I hear you.
Okay.
All right.
I have a choice here. We're going Pamich, Nero, Good. A 4-point. Yeah, I know. 4-point resistance transport.
Wait, Ryan, do you know what the ability of this pilot is?
I think I actually do. It's if you have like 2 or fewer stress tokens, you can still jam or do red actions or something like that.
Red
It's
maneuvers.
even worse than that. Red maneuvers.
Oh, it's okay, but I did get the 2 or fewer stress tokens.
I'm surprised you got that far. The only one I know is Jamarisa because Jam's in her name.
Jam isn't their name. Actually, I want to look at both of them, but because Pamich might go pretty quick here. The enormous 9 different slots available to Pamich here. Tech, sensor, cannon, torpedo, crew, astromech, and mod at 12 loadout. So it could be easy as just slapping a proton torpedo on it. But normally Pamich loves Larma Daisy. While you have 2 or fewer stress tokens, you can perform reinforce, coordinate, or jam even while stressed. Well, it will stress you again because you must treat them as red. Allows you to continue taking these actions even while stressed there, but it does kind of limit you into the coordinate or jam roles. If you take that option, could be a great M9 G8 carrier then. You don't have enough points for a cannon though, do you? Ooh, maybe not. Maybe we
I feel
go
like you gotta
R4.
take Stink Laser on her, right?
How much?
Yeah,
No,
I
you put
need a damage.
proton cannons or you throw some proton cannons on there and just say people barrel roll or get out the way.
Oh, this is an I3 couch here. We're not barrel
Yeah.
rolling or boosting to get ourselves.
No. You're just
bullseye
saying.
with
You're just saying
proton
like.
cannons like we are Dirge at I5 here.
You're telling other people to
It-
barrel roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like you are. It's kind of like the Keo with proton rocket. You're just saying like that. You're not. Don't come in this area, and you just
I
pointed to where ships
do-
are going to be and let them figure it out.
Oh, no, C-3PO 7 points. You can't get synced and C-3PO, which would have been my go-to there.
Yeah, I think I'm at synced in R4 right now, and then just 4 points left where
I
you
mean,
can
that's
take Larma, you can take
Larma.
Tactical, Chewie, yeah.
Chewie's not a bad call there.
Huh?
Could be
You are shooting later
advantageous.
than most of the other ships, and if ships get hurt, you're just gonna get crits generated.
Yeah, I mean, I think you with these couches, you got to invest in a cannon or a torpedo. You can't just be rolling around two
you
dice
can't
in
be
it.
shooting 2 dice.
No,
No.
you need
Well,
something.
you can also do automated and sync laser cannon because just
Oh,
Ooh,
okay.
Now
We're getting.
now you
now
got
we're-
me.
Well, so that one makes
Getting
sense
some
because you get to
comps.
pick your weapon and you don't have to deal with the range 0 issue.
Yes. The synced can't shoot range 0 or range 1. So.
Automated, synced, and tactical officer or
was-
Han Solo, probably.
What was the droid that? PZ4C0. At the end of the activation, you can choose one friendly ship at range 1 to 2. If you do, transfer one calculate to it, or if your revealed maneuver is blue, you can transfer a focus token instead. It's really just to get the calculate action for that synced laser. I don't know if that's that beneficial, but I guess if you didn't need your focus, you won't need your calculate for your synced laser.
At that point, I'm going it's the resistance for somebody.
I'll go on the resistance. Yeah, that's true. Call in a ship in turn 3. Could be.
No, thanks. I would like all my ships available for me on turn 2.
Yes, need turn 2 for objectives. 100%
wait, it has to be turn 3.
Has to be turn 3.
But that is the earliest you can bring something in.
Yes.
And your opponent has a little bit of control where you're allowed to come in. So keep that in mind.
I would say Chewbacca then and eat the point, because that being able to use the focus to crit and still keep your calculate for the synced laser effect.
Sure.
I would like to ask, where are you getting the calculate token from?
Automated. They're assuming you missed already.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're not taking R4 Astromech.
You're gonna have to give up on
right.
that.
Yeah.
Tough choices all around. I guess you could go tactical R4, just coordinate, and then you'll probably miss your opening shot because you're coordinating.
Yeah.
Wait.
Tactical officer R4 synced automated.
Okay. I like that. A lot of versatility. Still throws a 3-dice gun downfield. That's pretty good. We actually found a reasonable thing that I would put on the board. But Takajama, though, Jamarisa, I think is a little bit more interesting. But you're kind of forced into false transponder codes then.
No crew. Why?
No crew. For Hondo. It's for Hondo.
They knew.
Playtesting, they work. Because I'm pretty sure everybody who read their ability. Alright, so Jamarisa. After you jam, you must assign 1 jam token to another ship at range 0 to 1 of the jam ship. Normally, if you're doing your red jam action, it's either going to be you or an enemy who's going to be a second enemy, it being the second jammer there. Because if you jam yourself, who cares, right? Unless you had like a target lock that you're saving or something. But with false transponder codes, though, now because you're initiative 2, you could roll up into a formation and jam 2 people at once. I figure if you're taking the target lock action to be jamming people, you might as well reach for those plasma torpedoes. But then it leaves us with 5 points.
I would reach for Ion instead.
You want Ion?
So low in the initiative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, if you're using this ship without a cannon and you're or actually, even if you're not, if you're basically just trying to keep the ship alive a little bit and just have it multi-jam and just throw a cloaking device on there and go around jamming everything with 3 agility. You can still fit. I mean, you could still fit cloaking device, automated targeting priority, and sync laser cannon. So you can still get a legit
points.
Yeah, you can still get a legit gun and get them in doing bad stuff.
Synced automated.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, Jamarisa is Ion Boy now. It's a false Ion Cannon, Ion Torpedo.
Yeah,
I ion them with the Ion Torpedo and then move in range.
I guess that's true. You are very slow and low initiative, so it might be better just to take the cannon, that Ion Cannon. So if you go just Ion Cannon false, that's 4 points remaining. Is there a good 4-point? I mean, BB-8?
I actually like the... So if you're doing a 6-point cannon and false transponder codes, I actually kind of like automated and R3 Astromech. I was told so how R3 versus false transponder code works when people thought about when they verse each other, it's player order because they're both after lock triggers.
Yeah.
But because you are the player controlling both of them, you get to control the order that they happen. So in instances where you can lock something, but you're not sure if you can lock something else, you'll be able to lock one thing, see if you have range to the other, lock the other, and jam either one if they're non-range one of each other. Or if you know you're going to be able to jam both things, it'd be pretty neat to lock both those things and jam both those things. And
Sure.
then you'll get to choose later, depending on how everyone else shoots, since Taka is I2, so you're shooting last
Mhm.
most likely, which one you do want to shoot.
So false and R3 work in player order. Like they
Well, I
must
mean,
go in
it-
player
If
order.
they're against each other. But if they're controlled by the player, I
mean, you
believe
would
it is
just-
they choose the order.
I mean, would it really matter? You just lock the ship you want to jam first. Like, I
It
don't- I
may
don't-
matter for distance, right? If you don't know if you have the other ship at range 3, right?
Oh,
So you go to-
okay. Well, can't you measure everything
But
before you
see,
choose your
you
lock?
do measure
You should be
at
able to
you do
measure
measure when you lock, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the difference is like, either way, I like the idea of having locking, because the issue with locking at low initiative is always you lock that one thing, and if the rest of your squad either kills that thing or doesn't become the
Mhm.
best target that you've like locked, you're now shooting unmodded at something else. Whereas with
Right.
this, you have the chance to not only jam two things with false transponder codes and locking, but you could also jam both those things and lock both those things, and then have a better decision making as to which one you want to try and shoot once you finally do.
That makes sense to me. So like 3 forward, lock 2 things, and then now, assuming you like spend 1 lock, right, or that ship is destroyed, hopefully, then next round you still have your second lock to go in for a jam action, and then potentially shoot them range 1 with that target lock, and maybe a calculate if you missed.
Now,
Yeah.
granted, the automated target priority might not be the best play with that if you want to be the whole I want to choose which one, because it might force you to. So maybe
Well,
not
the-
automated, maybe it should be marksmanship
Well,
or something.
At least with ion cannon, you can avoid the zeros.
Yeah, it's true. You can at least shoot somebody range 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe. I mean, I agree that
I mean,
automated targeting priority is a risky endeavor if you don't have another weapon.
Or a
Um,
range band specific weapon
Yeah.
to
Right.
mitigate
right.
the zeros.
Wait. So
Interesting.
here's a question: if I have automated target priority
Mhm.
and I have a lock-based weapon like a torpedo,
Right.
then there's someone at range 2 and there's someone at range 3 that I have locked. Can I still shoot the person at range 3 with the torpedo?
You choose your weapon
You
first.
have to shoot the.
Choose your weapon first.
Right. So I choose ion torpedo.
So
Yep.
you can
Look
only
for-
shoot the
Requires you to have a
target
lock.
Mm-hmm. So you look for
Right,
every
yeah.
target that you have a lock on, and then
Okay.
you choose the closest range band. So in this one it is funny because you have R3, so you actually like R3 and like plasma. You might actually have to shoot the range 2 plasma versus the range 3
This is why
plasma.
like it's with the cannon specifically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's keep it on the cannons here. Honestly, as
Yeah.
cool as the torp sounds, I think the consistency of the ion cannon.
Yeah.
Plus, you're super slow, and like, man, your opponent is ionized, it takes a lot of pressure off of your maneuverability. Just one bank, reverse, shoot him again with the ion cannon. One forward, just keep light them up. Just your job is to just lasso somebody until they're destroyed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Interesting.
so sad. 1 point away. You could almost do HLC and ion cannon, and it's 4 points left and not 5 for false transponder.
Oh.
Yeah, we're giving up on bullseye though. Maybe range 1 bullseyes when someone
Well, I mean, you can
boosts
you
into you.
can
but,
go proton. You can go proton cannons.
Yeah, but proton
Uh,
cannon takes the second cannon slot.
plasma.
Right. Yeah.
Proton plasma automated. What do you think about that?
Oh.
No.
That's
Sure.
that's interesting.
I don't know if I'm not in on that. I like the other version better. But that's it. That's great because guess what? The couches exist and they're even 4-point couches, but no one has ever tried to put it in a 4T70 list. No.
I think
but-
those couches are still at like the These are the used couches, the ones that you like buy at garage sales.
This garage sale
Yeah.
couch.
These aren't new couches.
This
I
is
need
the
I need
floral
a top
print.
of the line.
Wrapped in
I need a
plastic.
top of the line couch.
I gotcha. All right. Well, it is getting late, so let's roll on out of here. Anything I missed other than the Golden State games? Join me and James this weekend.
Big shout out to Isofane for
Isofane.
helping us with our travels and lodging.
Mm-hmm. Yep, should be a great time. I'm super excited about it. I've never been to California, so.
I've only been for Disney.
Oh, that's right. Well, until then, still we're doing Flight Club. We should start a league for it though. Flight Club on Wednesdays, podcasts on Mondays, and those tournaments on the weekend. Check out the Discord. Check out the Patreon if you want to get us to more of these events. Until then, though, till next time, stay safe, stay smart. Gold Squadron out.
Thank you to ISO, Danko, Baffle, Trojan, Prophet, Shadow, Tycho, Spice, Raider, Lancer, Fallen, Row 6, 626, Chief, and J List, our Grand Admiral patrons. And all of our Gold Squadron patrons and community members, thank you for your support. Gold Squadron out.